All right, guys, welcome back to another Real Talk episode. Today, we are talking my 308 obsession, battle rifles, DMRs, BRs, DMRs. You know how it goes. Talk about my journey a little bit, what I've learned, and then why I believe everybody should have a 308 semi-auto gas gun, whether it's direct impingement or short stroke gas piston. But before we get into all that, first of all, I want to give a big shout out to the Gun Owners of America. This hat right here, spent $50 giving them a donation. They sent out this Abolish ATF hat. So if you guys aren't already a part of some of these pro-gun organizations that are out there fighting for our right every day, actual lawyers working on legislation, doing it the right way, the legal way, please go ahead and support those companies. There's a ton of them out there. GOA is one of my favorites. FPC is another one. National Association for Gun Rights. All those guys are doing really good work in the legislature to change laws to give us our rights back, essentially, restore the rights that have been taken from us as the Second Amendment intends. So a no compromise gun lobby, right? So support those channels for sure. Also, if you guys want to support my channel, or those companies rather, if you want to support my channel though, rangezabro.com gives you access to all of our discounts on our discounts page, all of our loadouts, all of our merch is all over there. Most of these, actually just two of these, I guess, are already up on our loadouts page. So this guy right here is already up on the loadouts page, the DS Arms FAL OSW. This is a little like 11-inch 308. Haven't even shot this thing yet, but we'll talk about this at the end because this is my most recent acquisition. But we'll start off with some of the earlier ones in the journey and go to that one. But those are over there at the loadouts page. Follow me on Rumble, follow me on X. We have a Patreon if you want to support the channel even further. Thank you for everyone who does that. Also, just liking, commenting, and subscribing is a huge help. So thank you guys. Now let's start at the beginning. We have a lot of things to cover here, so I'm going to try not to make this a 35-minute video, but we'll start with my journey. Where did it start out? It did not start with the SCAR 17, but this is the gun, the oldest gun that I have, as far as it's still being in my possession. It actually started off with a Diamondback AR-10. That was about 8 years ago. It was my first AR, semi-auto AR I ever bought, and that was my introduction into the AR platform. It was a Diamondback AR-10. It was really affordable at the time, so I guess I'm just starting off with that to say you don't need to spend $8,000 as a total setup to get into the gas gun or the AR-10 game. There's plenty of good options out there. Springfield makes a good option for pretty cheap. There's a ton of companies that are kind of in between these. A lot of these setups I'm going to be showing you today are very high end, so don't get discouraged. But I started off with a Diamondback AR-10. That was before I was really doing real reviews. So I can't really speak to the reliability or the accuracy because I was just in the woods, like shooting at targets stapled to trees at the time. So again, very early on, very cringy when I think back about how cool I thought I was. I just didn't know what I didn't know at the time. But it started with that AR-10. It was a 16-inch 308 gun. Since sold that one. After that, I built a Aero Precision. Speaking of Aero Precision, what's going on with those guys? Let me know down in the comments if you have any inside scoop on the Aero Precision situation. But I built an AEM5, which used their enhanced upper receiver group in their handguard. So it was essentially as close as you can get to a monolithic upper receiver because the handguard bolted up to a forged piece of the upper that did not, in fact, contact the barrel. And so that was a really cool system, but it was extremely heavy. It was an 18-inch Ballistic Advantage stainless steel fluted barrel. It was super accurate. That was like right around the time I started the channel. I had built that like a year prior to starting the channel. So I reviewed it. I shot it to 1,000 yards. I really didn't do any long-term reliability testing or anything like that with it, but it was a good gun. I had nothing against it. And the biggest advantage of both of those two original guns was that they were cost effective and they took the SR25 pattern mags or the whatever the standard Magpul 308 mag is. So that is a huge advantage. If you want to build something out to be your battle rifle or your DMR, you're definitely going to have multiple magazines. You don't want to just be stuck with one or two. So that is a big advantage because the Magpul P mags for 308 or 6.5 are relatively affordable. I think they're like $25 a piece, which is quite a bit cheaper than the SCAR mags that we have here. Now, after the Aero Precision, before I had sold it actually, I bought the SCAR 17, and the SCAR 17 had just been a dream gun of mine for a very long time. And before we get too far into the SCAR, because there's a ton of things to go over with the SCAR 17, first of all, why is it important for every regular American civilian to have a semi-auto 308? It's because the Second Amendment was not about home defense, it was not about hunting, it was not about sporting, although it's great for all those things. shooting competitions. It's awesome, right? It's a lot of fun, engineering. I look at these as pieces of art. It's really about defending freedom from tyranny, foreign or domestic. And when you're talking about defending freedom, there's a reason the military, SOCOM, puts out requests for these rifles, and they're putting them in the hands of regular guys. So an infantry squad might have 4 guys with AR-15s, and they have a 5th guy with an SDMR, something that's larger caliber that can reach out further and bridge the gap between the standard infantry rifle, effective range of a 14.5, 5.56. As far as the military is concerned, is like 400 yards and in. So the 308, specifically with the Marine Corps and the SDMR and the HK MR762A1, which we're going to talk about in a second, is to bridge the gap between the 600-yard gap between the infantrymen and the 800-yard where the sniper rifle really comes into play. And so he can blend in with the squad. And I say all that to say, if you're fighting a military, foreign, whether uniformed or guerrilla, it's really nice to have the capability. And hopefully we never need it again. Pray for peace, prepare for war, but it is nice to have these. That's what the Second Amendment was intended for. So that's why you should have the capability, at least one guy in your squad of guys you train with. We all have a list of guys we would call if that situation ever came up, and one of you should have this capability at least. So that's why I believe everyone should have one, and maybe learn from my lessons and my mistakes. And the biggest mistake I made is sitting right here in front of you, the FN SCAR 17, which was an iconic from movies, from GWOT, and also good and bad from GWOT. This is the non-reciprocating charging handle version of the SCAR 17, but also just Call of Duty. I grew up playing Call of Duty. I love Call of Duty. I love this gun in Call of Duty. So I wanted to rebuild this and use it in real life. And what I found out was it's an extremely overpriced piece of dated weaponry, right? It's still cool. It's still great. Don't get me wrong. Extremely reliable, very accurate for being a chrome line barrel as well. This thing was grouping about like an inch, just over an inch with a chrome line barrel, which I thought was pretty impressive out of a 16-inch Cold Hammer Forged chrome line barrel. But it also, I also blew out the rear receiver plate from shooting this thing suppressed with a Sandman S and not having an adjustable gas block on it. I also did have the ACR stock on here, so just keep that in mind. It was a metal backplate, aluminum backplate versus the plastic one that the UGG boot has. So I've since spoke with Mototech Engineering, and I've upgraded this thing with an adjustable gas block, the Scarburator Gen 3. So it's got 16 positions for your gas settings, and then also put the SCAR stock back on here. Mototech actually was able to use helicoils and repair this rear receiver plate. I did go out and buy another OEM rear receiver plate just in case, but as you see this SCAR today, I have over $6,000 worth of upgrades just in the rifle, not including optic, and or maybe it was including optic, can't remember, but I'll go through these real quick, blast into Aston. So we have a dead air flash hider, which is specific for the SCAR. There's a very little shoulder on the barrel of the SCAR 17, so it's a face mount, similar to a lot of AKs. So it's a special muzzle device you have to buy for that. It's like $90. Kinetic Development Group rail, MREX Gen 2, I think, rail. Again, I don't remember how much this thing was when I bought it. It was a long time ago, but I would venture to imagine about $300 around there. Scarburator Gen 3, again, another $200, whatever it is. I'm just estimating at this point, guys. I can't remember. But these are all things that were necessary in order to get this thing to the caliber or to bring it into the modern era, right? The only thing FN did was make the charging handle non-reciprocating, which was long overdue, right? So they did that at least, but better rail, muzzle device that actually accepts suppressors, adjustable gas block, which it should have from the factory. It does not. I have the Kinetic Development Group Radian selector on here, Geisley trigger on here. I had to Dremel and permanently modify my lower on the SCAR to get it to accept AR-15 pistol grips. That's just atrociously. I don't know why in the world FN hasn't made the lower to accept pistol grips. I know there's aftermarket companies that will change this thing out so it will accept SR25 pattern mags and AR-15 pistol grips and AR triggers and all that. But those are pretty expensive. Again, already an expensive gun. But I say all that to say, oh, also Mototech Engineering rubber recoil pad, I guess they call it, and upgraded to all their Torx screws. After I had damaged this thing, I was like, let me upgrade everything I can to prevent that from happening, because it is already like a $4,000 gun just without any upgrades. So this gun originally was going to be my battle rifle. I had a 1-8 Credo on here, and it worked pretty well for that role. It was, relatively lightweight for what it is, a 16-inch gun. I did eventually want to upgrade this to a 13.5 barrel and make this like my true running gun battle rifle. But I already put so much money into this thing, I just decided enough is enough, and I just kind of not lost interest in it, but I definitely didn't want to spend any more money putting it into this thing, especially if I was going to turn around and sell it. You never make your money out of them that you put into them. So with that being said, the Scar 17 is kind of on the back burner for me right now. It just doesn't fit. There's just other platforms that do it much better than this, and we're going to talk about some of those moving forward. But I am stuck with it, and I have, I think I have like 7 mags for the Scar, so a ton of money just poured into this rifle. Again, still, like if it was my only one, would I be depressed? Like, no, it's a pretty good gun at this point. But when you take it out of the box, it just needs so many improvements to be able to suppress it and not damage your gun. So let's put this guy aside. After the Scar 17, I acquired, and through layaway for many years, really like probably 13 months, I wouldn't say many years, but it seemed like an eternity, I started paying on this guy from my local gun store and was able to finally pick one up when I finally paid it off. And this is the HK MR762A1. So until very recently, until a few months ago, you were only able to get this A1 variant of the HK. This gun, still to this day, is one of my absolute favorites. It's a cherished gun of mine. It took me a very long time to acquire it, and it didn't let me down. The only shortcoming, of this gun was that, again, HK hadn't really updated it because they had an A5 version out of this thing when I bought this thing. But it was still coming in the A1 version, and there's always the running joke, HK hates us, right? HK hates the civilian market. Well, that's changed, and we're going to talk about that in a second here. But this is the gun that I really, after the Scar, I got this thing. I decided to invest in a flow-through can, the Huxworks Flow-Through 762 Ti, because this again doesn't have an adjustable gas block. So I didn't want to have the same issues I had with the Scar, so I guess I can knock this HK for that. There's a lot of things I can knock the HK for. It also took a lot of money to upgrade it to this point. This was the rail it came with right here, which again, at least it's M-LOK. It has QD slots in the back, but it's really, really thick rail. And, I'm sure it's super durable, but within like a month or two of owning this rifle, I upgraded it to the Geissele rail. Also upgraded it to the Geissele trigger, changed the pistol grip out, extended B5 trigger guard here, added the Law Tactical folder, which did add a ton of weight, or at least it feels like a ton of weight. This gun is very heavy, and so the way I have it kitted out right now is definitely more geared towards a DMR role where you're going to be proned out or in an established shooting position more so than like a recce gun or something I'm going to be running around with or hunting with. So, but this gun was absolutely the most accurate gun I owned at the time, between this and the HK MR556, really. And this gun was shooting like 3/4 inch groups with Federal 168 grain boat tail hollow point ammunition, so the gold standard. So gold medal match, that's why they call it gold medal match, I guess. But again, this rifle kind of changed the game for me. I took this out to 1,000 yards with a 16.5 inch barrel. Pretty darn good for a 308 to get that type of accuracy. Now, it wasn't as consistently as I could shoot 700 yards with it because with the velocities out of a 16.5 308 with that ammo, we're going transonic around 800, 815 yards. So the bullet does wonky things when it goes slower than the speed of sound. I don't know what it's called, reverse braking the speed of sound, coming back into transonic speeds. So it is definitely more of like a 600 to 800 yard gun, or really if I'm shooting anything past 400 and I know I'm going to be shooting that day, like if I'm shooting a PRS match and the max range is 800 yards and it's from 400 to 800, this is the gun I would previously be grabbing. So did have a different scope on it previously, but this is a very good piece of glass here. So this Steiner 3 to 18 T6 XI. Absolutely love this thing. I do wish it had a Christmas tree reticle for that more like a tactical type engagement versus a PRS type, whereas this still has a bunch of stadia. I forget what the reticle is, but it's pretty good. In the LaRue mount, I guess I would just really quickly go over it. Huxworks flash hider, HRT tactical, AWLS light up here. It's a 90,000 candela, super bright beam. It can throw like light 500 to 600 yards. Magpul bipod up here in the front. I don't know if you guys can see that. Just got some paracord on here for quick deploy. It works. People either love or hate the Magpul bipods. I've had good luck with them, so I have a couple of them. That's directly M-LOK mounted to the Geissele rail. We already talked about the Geissele 417 rail a little bit. 2 QD points in the back. This was a Blem. It's got like a tiny little nick at the top. If you can buy Blem parts from Geissele or really any company that's reputable out there, always buy the Blem because it's just a cosmetic error and you usually get it for like 40, sometimes 50% off, which is insane. So I buy as many Blems as I can. Ariska, I believe it's called Ariska vertical foregrip here. It's just M-LOK Direct. It's aluminum, so I like that. I wish it had storage in the bottom for whatever, batteries or something like that, but it doesn't. Again, proprietary magazines on the HK. So these magazines are very expensive. They're like $60. I've seen them as like the cheapest I've ever seen them. And I do have like 8 of these because, again, I really invested in this being kind of my go-to DMR gun. So as you guys can see, a lot of mags and a lot of money in mags. So that's one of the downfalls of this. But yeah, it did require, it's an already expensive gun. It's, you know, I think I paid $4,000 for it, like $3,800 for it. So around the same price as the SCAR at the time. And it required a lot of upgrades. Did not have ambient controls, did not have adjustable gas block. All that stuff was kind of, you know, unobtainium. It had, you know, there's a lot of upgrades that HK had available, but they just wouldn't put it in this gun at the time. And so let's skip from this to, instead of the A4, let's talk about the LMT first, because this again was kind of my benchmark. This is still one of my favorite guns, even today, even right now. This is still one of my favorite DMRs. Yeah, it's heavy, but with the folder, pretty cool ability to fold down and get a gun that is capable of, you know, 600 to 1,000 yards, really 600 to 1,000 in a relatively small backpack package. So the law folder is pretty cool in here, although it does increase the weight quite a bit. And just the Geissele rail, everything, this is just a heavy rifle. So just know that going into this. Also, the takedown pins require a tool that is stored back here in the buttstock. If I can get it off, right here. It's a little like Allen key punch tool that you need to break it down. So a lot of people will hate on this rifle for all the proprietary parts and all the proprietary, you know, designs of it, but a lot of people also love it for that reason. And let's see if it's going to give me trouble. There we go. Very cool little butt plate. But I hate this stock too. I hate these little loops in the back. And this buffer tube is like a very, it is the maritime buffer tube. So it's got the holes in the back for over the beach. If you're coming out of the water doing cool guy stuff, it'll drain out of the back. But you see how big that buffer tube is. It's not a standard buffer tube size. So you're stuck with HK size stocks. I don't know if this is commercial size either. I've really never owned a commercial size buffer tube on like an AR-15, but of course, now that I try to do this on camera, it's just a heavy gun, so it's a little finicky to hold it and try to do this. There we go. But there's this gun. I still love it to death to this day, but it has all the shortcomings, a lot of the shortcomings of the SCAR, right? Fast forward to LMT, and this guy really, I heard about LMT. LMT's been around for a long time. This guy really did kind of take me by surprise with how much I really enjoyed this thing. This is the Mars H. So LMT did send out the lower. I did purchase the upper receiver from Brownells. I purchased the BCG from Rifle Gear up in Dallas. And then I got the barrel from a friend of mine, a good friend of the channel, Steven, gave me the barrel. So big shout to Steven for probably the best gift I've ever gotten from a friend. Really cool dude, and he just gave me this 308 barrel from LMT because he has other things he's doing with his. But with that being said, this is a very cool barrel changeout design. Also, before I forget, does not take proprietary magazines, so it accepts the Magpul mags, the SR25 pattern magazines. So these are way cheaper than having to stock up on the HK or the SCAR mags. And one huge advantage of the LMT is this barrel bolt-up lockup system. So it has a monolithic upper receiver. So this is literally just one piece continuous. There's no break there whatsoever. So you can easily, with their field tool, just undo these 2 bolts and swap out barrels. I did test it at the range to see if it would have any point of impact shift. And I took the barrel all the way out. The only pain is that if you have M-LOK attachments on the bottom, like a vertical foregrip or a bipod or this Picatinny section here, you do have to remove those for the barrel to kind of clear and be able to be removed all the way. So I did that just for, again, the hater's sake, I guess you could say, because I didn't want anyone saying it, pull it all the way out. So I pulled it all the way out of the gun, held it out up in the air, put it back in. We had 0 point of impact shift, and this thing was grouping with 5-round groups about 3/4 of an inch, which again, for a chrome line barrel, was phenomenal. And maybe it was just luck of the draw that day. I was shooting really good or whatever, but I was very impressed with the accuracy that I received out of this thing with a chrome line barrel. Now, it's not cold hammer forged. They do some other type of finish on it, like cryogenically treated. I can't really remember. Somebody let me know down in the comments, but this is not a cheap gun either. Let me be very clear. This gun, if you wanted to buy it outright, is I think a little bit cheaper than the HK and the Scar. I think it's coming in at like 3,300 bucks. So again, not a cheap gun, but I like that it gives you the capability of buying just one large frame platform and then being able to swap it to a 6.5 Creedmoor barrel and use the same mags, use the same bolt and the same upper and lower and everything, and then just get that performance out of the same platform. So instead of having to buy, I don't even think there's a 6.5 Creedmoor variant of the HK. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think there is for the civilian market. I'm pretty certain about that. So not only is it not an option on that one, the Scar, you could buy the 20S. I don't think you can buy the 6.5 barrels for the 16 or 17 rather. But again, someone let me know down in the comments. This is just like a whole new level. Even if you could, because I know the Scar has a semi quick change barrel system, and even if you could buy the 20S barrel for the Scar, it still has all those other shortcomings of needing those upgrades and not being able to run it suppressed. Now, I will kind of ding this LMT for not having an adjustable gas block, at least on the direct impingement variants. They do have a short stroke gas piston version of these setups. Again, I don't know for the large frame if they do. I'm pretty sure they do. They definitely do for the AR-15 platform. But I'll ding this, and those are adjustable as far as I know. But the DI gun is not adjustable. But I ran it with a flow-through can. Again, I already own that can, and I bought it specifically for my large frame ARs. But there's a ton of other options. At the time I bought the Hux Works, there really weren't, like the Cat wasn't really a big name at the time. Silencer Co. was just like coming out with their flow-through stuff. And now there's a ton of more options as far as like flow-through or low back pressure. The Otter Creek Labs is another one. But, this thing really did kind of impress me and won my heart over a little bit, and kind of, in my mind, dethroned very easily the Scar 17 as like the battle rifle role. I could throw a 6.5 Creedmoor 20-inch barrel in it and make it my DMR roll. It's still, relatively heavy, but compared to the HK-A1, it was a lot lighter than that. At least it felt lighter. But then it took like basic parts. It takes AR-15 triggers, AR-15 pistol grips, AR-10 charging handle. So I have a Radian charging handle in here right now. Any AR-15 stock you want to put on, it does come with the LMT SOP mod stock. So my favorite stock out there. So there's no reason for me to change it, but I could if I wanted to. Comes with a QD in the back plate here. Just like a lot of the Creature Comforts, it has a QD slot on the side here for your sling, but it's lower, and on the flat, I don't like that. I like it a little higher and at an angle, so I threw that Magpul one on there. But this is on the loadouts page of the website. But I say all that to say, this thing is completely ambidextrous as well. This is like a really good value for the money, like out of the box, plug and play. It is expensive, but if you want to buy like one and done, this is a great option for you because of the barrel swap out versatility. And if you already own AR-15s, you already have, you want to buy a $150 Geissele trigger or a MBT from LaRue, you could put it in here. Although this trigger is pretty decent, that comes with the Mars lower. It is like their precision 2-stage trigger. It's not horrible, but LaRue is definitely better. Geissele is definitely better. But I say all that to say, like, out of the box, it's really hard to convince me that there's a better option for the money than the LMT. But then enters the A4 into the chat, and HK did what we were all praying they would do for years, really for decades. I think they had it out, but they just never released it to the civilian market. And they came out with the MR762 A4. So this guy was sent to the channel by HK. So again, big shout out to HK for sending this out. Obviously, I'm a self-proclaimed HK fanboy, so take that for what it's worth. But I've been liking LaRue a lot lately, trying to get a hold of their larger frame ARs after the experience I had with the little LaRue, the AR-15. And LMT's really kind of won me over as well. That's a really nice rifle. And we're comparing like the best of the best on the market. Let me be very clear about that. So none of these are bad options, but there's definitely things to consider that are better than others, here and there. Let's just go over the improvements before I forget on the A4 from the A1. So first and foremost, they have, I believe the A1 is a 1 in 12 twist. This is a 1 in 11 twist barrel. Someone correct me if I'm wrong about that. Has an adjustable gas block. Has an improved handguard with the same ergonomics, same feel, even a little bit better, even a little bit more slim than the Geissele one. Has QD points in the back as the old one did, but it's a lot slimmer. It's a lot lighter. There's lightning cuts all throughout this thing. So it feels way lighter than the A1. Also, again, you have the option to put a traditional baffle stack can on here because it has the adjustable gas block. So you have a suppressed and a non-suppressed version. Has a pin gas, but same bomb proof and quality that goes into the A1. I don't want to go over all that stuff. We'll just talk the differences real quick. Coming back, you don't need special tools to remove the pins, as there's regular push pins like on a standard AR-15 lower. It has the G28 oversized trigger guard. It has the G28 extended castle nut. Whether that's necessary or not, it's nice to have. It also has a back plate with 2 QD points in the back. Really nice. Completely ambidextrous now. So ambidextrous charging handle, ambidextrous selector that's on a 45-degree throw. I really love that. I love a 45-degree throw. My favorite selector switch is the Radian Talon. So this is kind of like as close as you can get to a Radian Talon from the factory. It also is complete ambidextrous bolt release, bolt hold back and bolt release. So I can actually pull this back, push this guy up and lock the bolt to the rear, clear any malfunctions that I need to, finger bang this thing if I need to, get any of the rounds out, and then I can drop it forward. I'll spare your ears, you headphone listeners. So really nice oversized latches too for like if you have a big optic, like you're gonna be running, this is the Attacker 4-20 on here. And you know, with the oversized latches, there's no problem grabbing that charging handle. Also magazine release on the left side of the gun. And the left side paddle for the bolt release is oversized as well. I don't know if you guys can really see that, but it's a little bit oversized now, so you can very easily hit that. And everything is shielded very well. What else? Improved grip angle on the pistol grip. It feels great, looks great. Really no complaints there. Oh, and the slimline stock. So it comes with the slimline stock without those horrendous sling hoops on the back there. So pretty much everything that you want to see, that I wanted for the longest time on the HK. And if you looked up like on HK parts to upgrade to these pieces, well, number one, you're taking apart a rifle that is known for being put together super well and with great quality control. And I'm just a guy in a bedroom with a bench and a vise. So I didn't like the idea of like disassembling the entire gun just to upgrade it to, you know, whatever you could find, you'd pay out the wazoo for it. I mean, this slimline stock was like $400 on its own. So again, it's really cool that HK just brought it to the market. It's around the same price as the A1 was, but now you have essentially the G28 at home, or as close as you can get to a 417 at home. So real quickly, we'll talk about the setup on this guy. Up here, Flow 762 Ti suppressor. We have a Harris bipod with a LaRue mount in the front. We have a AWLS from HRT Tactical, as well as the 100 Concepts Light Cap Pro. So it's the ruggedized light cap. So it's like less noise, a little more flexible, I guess. I don't really know. It's like kind of like a high quality, like rubberized cap. Really cool for preventing NDs, white light negligent discharges, or any reflections that are unwanted. Also running some Magpul MBUS Pro offset irons here for anything up close, or for whatever reason this Night Force Attacker goes down, then I'm probably dead. This, I don't know if I mentioned, LaRue mount on the bipod. Attacker 4-20, really good piece of glass. It has the Tremor 3 reticle in it. This is going to be the DMR that I'm taking to a precision rifle course, and then subsequently the week after taking it to a precision rifle competition. So I swapped it out for the Steiner because this used to be on the A1, but I wanted the Tremor 3 reticle and those wind holds so I can make quick adjustments during that competition. But we have the 100 Concepts Scope Cap Pro up here. It is kind of loud. I think they make a ruggedized version now of this one to kind of prevent all that noise. But again, anti-reflective device, so you can't be spotted by the enemy. There's been some talks about coming out of Ukraine about the effectiveness of ARDs. You don't need to spend a bunch of money on them. You can make them at home, put mesh netting over them. There's a bunch of different ways to do it, but I do like this one. It's very clean. And then if I don't want it, I want maximum light transmission, I can just pull it off and slide it to the top like so. So really cool scope cap in the front. And then I'm just running the Tenebrex on the rear. It is in a Badger Condition 1 1.7-inch height mount. Now, one thing you need to note that I forgot to mention during the A1 conversation is that this upper receiver group is taller than a standard AR upper, and you can tell right here by the distance here. The old one had a little swoop up in the back. Let me just show you guys so you can see what I'm talking about versus just talking about it. The old one, the A1, has a little swoop in the back here. So it swoops up and the pick starts up here in the front. The new A4 version got rid of that swoop and it moved the pick section all the way back so you can mount things back further if you'd like for whatever reason to do that. But it is still taller, so just keep that in mind if you're looking at one of these. It is gonna, scope height is gonna be affected by that. I don't know what the difference in height is, but you know, There's a 1.5, there's a 1.7, so that's probably the difference right there. If you want a 1.7 height, maybe get a 1.5, and then it'll, I don't really know. I can measure it with calipers, I suppose, and maybe put it in the comments. If you guys want to know, let me know in the comments. I can measure it for you. But this is a 1.7-inch height, and with this taller upper receiver, it's a little bit taller than I'd like. I can always put like a little cheek riser or some foam and some moleskin on here to kind of make it more comfortable. We'll see how it goes during these classes, and I'll be able to tell right away if I need to put something higher on here or just get a lower mount, depending on that. But 4-20, really cool, really good glass. I have the Walter Sobchak Security little cheat sheet in here, homework I guess they call it. I don't know what they call it. With my dope for that competition, and let's see here, Blue Forest Vickers sling. This is the sling I run on everything. So Free Larry Vickers. I love these slings. I mean, they're good enough. I bought them early on. They work. I just keep using them. They're relatively affordable. What else do we have on here? I'm definitely going to be switching. If this is going to be my primary DMR, I'm going to be switching because I just don't have the money to buy another Geisley HK trigger. They're like $400, I think. So I'm probably just going to swap it from the A1 to the A4. And yeah, that kind of summarizes this guy. And yeah, this is going to be the new go-to DMR. I did group this thing. The target stand was moving, but I still was able to get a sub-inch group. On 5 rounds, I did a 10-round group, and it was about 1.3 inches. But again, it was a super windy day, and the target stand was moving, so I need to do it again when there's more favorable environmentals to get the true accuracy of this thing. But I have no doubt it's capable of sub-inch groupings. So there's that. Also, what's not featured on here because it doesn't fit with my bipod. Oh yeah, one complaint I have about this thing, let me just tell you guys. The M-LOK slots don't start till pretty far forward. So for me to run my vertical grip, this is where the, this guy right here, this is where the Samson Manufacturing vertical grip bolts up. And the way my bipod ball head works, or tripod ball head works right now, I actually can't put it in the ball head because it's a little tiny 3-slot pick section down here that I'm bolting it up with. And the reason I'm not using my Arca Swiss is because if I did use my Arca Swiss, it'd push my handguard like all the way up to here. And it's already a long length of pull right here. And I'm a tall guy, I'm 6'1". But this is right, this is like as far forward as I really want my handguard. It's actually the perfect spot. Sorry if I bumped you guys there. It's kind of the perfect spot right here. So I can't fit anything else besides this tiny pick section because that's all there's room for on this if I want to use it with a tripod. Unless I put it up here, which is just going to throw the balance off. And I like to run my tripods a little bit further back for maneuverability. So yeah, one complaint about the A4 right there. But overall, huge improvement. Thank you, HK, for finally bringing this to the American market. And thank you for sending this out because I already spent so much money on the A1. I would have certainly had to sell it for a loss in order to be able to afford one of these. So I'm glad they were willing to send one out. Now, we'll wrap it all up with the most recent acquisition for the channel, which is the DS Arms OSW. It's FAL OSW, so it's an 11-inch 308 barrel, so it's going to be absolutely spitting flames. And is it practical? No, but who cares? Really, it's not. You're not buying this gun if you want it for a practical purpose. You want this gun because it is just an absolute vibe. And we haven't even shot it yet, so time will tell as far as accuracy, reliability, viability out the distance, what distances we can kind of effectively engage targets with this thing. But it is just an absolute vibe. If like Viagra was a gun, this is the gun. This is an absolute vibe. Like, it's just like, you can't look at this and not smile or be like, hell yeah, bro. Like, this thing is so sick just looking, feels great. Out of the box, had a ton of little imperfections, things that I would be like, normally be like, this is a disqualifier. I guess not really, but like the pick section on the bottom is too narrow for my Troy vertical grip to fit on here. Like, as tight as this vertical grip tightens down, it still was having a little bit of wobble and shake. Didn't happen on the side rail. I tested all the other rails and they were fine. But the bottom one, for whatever reason, is a little bit skinnier than the rest of them. And so what I do, instead of, complaining about it, I just put a little plastic baggie under here, threw that grip on there and cinched it down, fixed the problem. Because this is an FAL. This is not some super highly, precision. This is like you're showing up I'm here to fuck shit up. You know what I mean? Again, a bunch of little things like the handguard up here in the front had a little bit of wobble to it, so it wouldn't hold zero with the laser if I needed to run it with a laser. So what I do, just threw a little old RMR optic plate up here. I think this is a Holosun actually that I had laying around, and just bridged the gap so it wouldn't rotate on me. So again, problem solved. Again, lastly, took the muzzle device off, which is actually sitting on the LMT right now. And again, haven't even shot this thing yet, but I wanted to kit it out as just like this tactical modernized FAL to see what it can do. Took the muzzle device off, and the crush washer was stuck behind the thread. So what I do, bust out the Dremel, cut that baby off, problem solved. Threw on the Energetic Armament Vox K2, threw a reaction rod down there and make sure that, or sorry, threw a, what do they call those? I threw a rod down there to make sure, it's not a reaction rod, threw a rod down there to make sure, concentricity rod, to make sure it was concentric to the threads. It was, we're good to go, we're gonna run it. So I absolutely love this thing, 11-inch 308. We're gonna see how viable it really is. We're gonna chrono it, we're gonna group it, we're gonna shoot out the distance, see what it does. Right now I have the TA11 ACOG on here. We may switch that up eventually, but I love the whole vibe of this rifle being like the end of times, like the final boss, so to speak. And yeah, obviously proprietary mags, sorry, not FN, well, originally FN, but FAL mags, ambidextrous mag release. I guess let's just go over the setup. I don't really have much to say about the performance because we haven't shot it yet. I'm very excited to get out to the range and shoot it. So yeah, I can't wait to shoot this thing. I'm like, really, this is as cool as a lot of my other guns are, this is like the coolest gun I own, I think, right now. As far as just straight vibes, I absolutely adore this thing. So up here in the front, already talked about the Energetic Armament Vox K2 suppressor. It's a C300 nickel alloy, super alloy. It's a super durable, like they make rocket motor casings out of this stuff. So a really cool suppressor. Little short guy, it's probably not gonna do anything, honestly, but we'll see. It's definitely going to test the can out with this Shorty 308. It has an adjustable gas block, although I did talk to DS Arms about it. By the way, they did send this out to the channel for review. I wasn't sure if it was used or not because there was some brass on the ejection port, some brass, residue, I guess you can say, and some carbon. When I took the muzzle device off, I could see the barrel was clearly shot before. I don't know if that was just like testing it at the factory or if someone actually put rounds through it. Again, because I want to know primarily because I'm bringing a review to you guys. I'm going to say, hey, I count my rounds on my rifle. So how many rounds this rifle had before I got it, I have no idea. So that's the reason I was asking them about that. Don't want to seem ungrateful. Like, I don't care if it's used. Just let me know what the round count is so I don't ding the gun for something that is not its fault for having a higher round count than previously thought or known. But adjustable gas block, apparently it's not... the gas jet in here is not actually made. They sell suppressor gas jets. I figured adjustable gas block should work with a suppressor, but I have it all the way open for when we're going to shoot. I'm going to shoot this starting out or suppressed rather. So we'll see how that goes. Quad rail all the way around. We have a Surefire with a tail cap on here, just MD640 dual fuel on here, just bolted up to the top. We have a Magpul. RSA, I think they call it. It's just it's not a QD, it's just a sling loop. And then I have like the Blue Force Gear AK sling on here to accommodate that sling loop. It is a non-reciprocating charging handle. Had the Troy vertical grip up here. Again, I already talked about this Holosun little RMR plate up here to kind of bridge the gap. We have the TA11 ACOG. It's a 3.5 ACOG. It has a really good eye relief. It's on a low mount already, but the height over bore from the stock is pretty high on the FAL. At least with this stock, I think they all are pretty high. But so it feels much more like a 1.93, almost like a chin weld. Even though it's a low ACOG mount, it's on an American Defense Manufacturing QD ACOG mount. And then that's pretty much it that I have on this guy. Again, 20 round FAL mags, ambidextrous magazine release, which is really cool. Rock 'em and lock 'em. Sorry about the interruption, guys. It's the one thing about the Real Talks is that they're supposed to be unedited. That was just because my battery died on my camera. It's no better way for my equipment to tell me to wrap it up than to just die on me. So luckily I had another battery charged up, ready to go. But that's pretty much it for the FAL, guys. And if this proves to have decent ballistics and decent capabilities out to like 400 or 500 yards, we'll definitely find out. Maybe we'll do a test of like a 14.5, or maybe we'll do a test of like a 12.5 or something, 5.56 versus the 11-inch 308 to see if it's viable. This is definitely heavier than an AR-15, but being that it's shorter and a medium profile, and even given that it's a quad rail, it still feels like relatively lightweight, very maneuverable, very short and maneuverable, obviously. So we'll see. This may end up with an EOTech on it, depending on how we do out the distance. But that's kind of where I'm thinking with this thing is going to be my new battle rifle. And yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for today's video, guys. If you guys have any questions, if you want to ask me anything specifically about these setups, let me know down in the comments. Also, follow me over on Instagram at RangeDayBro, rangedaybro.com for merch, for discounts page, for the loadouts page as well. Follow me on Rumble, follow me on X. Sign up for the email subscription over at rangedaybro.com. We're going to start sending out more consistently a daily deals for all the best deals I could find on the internet. So again, there's a ton of ways for you guys to support the channel. Also, just liking, commenting, subscribing. Really appreciate every single one of you guys for commenting on the video. And yeah, until next time, love you guys. Christ is King. And talk to you next time.